But as we go into our conversation, I'd like to remind you also that you can be a part of the conversation through our Twitter handles or through our emails. Let's get to Mr. Larry Lijadu and find out what he has to say. Mr. Lijadu, the EU made 50 recommendations after the 2011 elections. Okay. But right now, the head of the EU delegation monitoring the elections in 2015 said only one of those recommendations was taken. What do you think of this?
Well, Nigeria, as an independent country, can either take or refuse what the EU recommends. But at the same time, thinking about the fact that all these recommendations came as a result of the past election and the observations that were made. And I think the EU have the best interest of Nigeria or other countries at heart. What they thought was, we will recommend things that will make better election for the future. So I'm very surprised that out of 50, now looking at some of the recommendations here, even the 5 that you mentioned, these are very important and necessary steps to take for a government that wants to say, okay, we want to do better than the past. So, I mean, with all the analysis you gave about the 2011 election, well, it was free, relatively, and compared to 2007. But can't Nigerians do better for this election? So I would say, for example, the INEC chairman, that the EU recommended that it should be an independent person, or maybe not appointed by the president, because see, the incumbent is running for election, and then you appoint the chairman of the electoral commission. To me, it gives some, kind of some doubts about. I'm not trying to say that the integrity of Jega
is being questioned, yes.
But at the same time, I think for you to be the one that appoints in a democracy, I don't know whether that's okay. So, and the only thing that Nigeria have adopted out of the 50 was that the
Freedom of Information Act.
I think 1 out of 50 for all the ones that I found here is a very sad thing.
Okay, let's look at the top 5. We talked about 5 particularly
yes.
here. Now, of those 5, if you notice that there was a similarity with that which was put forward, the recommendations made by the Justice Owei's panel. Yes. What does that tell you?
Well, for me, it's an indictment on this government. One, there's a panel that was set up to look at, how can we do things better? They made recommendations. The EU came up with at least 5 similar recommendations for all the talk about, this government is more, I don't know, I'm not sure it's that transparent, but it says, we want to do better. We've done 5 elections, and they are nice, they are good, and so on. But there are fundamental things here that have been rejected that would have made the election, whatever it is that is in the making for 2015, to be more credible, to be more trustworthy. And I think the electorate need to have the confidence and the trust that this system is going to be leak-proof, And when all that has been pushed aside, I don't know how clearly INEC itself can really be proud of whatever thing they want to do with all the challenges they have, even right now.
But if you look at those recommendations, even though they were not adopted, yet the reaction to the 2011 election is that it's better than what was in 2007. Doesn't that tell you that INEC on its own, without the recommendations, is willing to move to do something better than it did before?
Well, we are in 2015. and there has been some challenges for the INEC now, right now. I can say, well, I may not be sure about they are bragging about they're going to do better, but somehow, if they go by the record of 2011, it's something to show, because actually the United States says it was a fair election, although there were rigging, you know. The EU says, well, it was peaceful. Now, but beyond peaceful, what we want to see is it actually fair? It is free? Is it rig-proof? The indications we are seeing around us now is showing us that 2015 may not be as good as 2011.
But when you say indications here,
yes,
based on these recommendations, is there any indication that the process of the appointment of Professor Jega is affecting his work?
It may.
No, is there any indication to that effect?
I observe something like that.
Are you serious?
Well, I'm serious. One thing is this. Let's talk about the PVC. People are complaining that they are not receiving it. The INEC is saying, well, we have some of the PVC that people are not collecting. But okay, there were to be about 68 million, 54 was ordered. What's wrong with, why do you order 54 out of 68? What's the problem with that? Again, if you know the necessary thing to do to make an election, at least the perception of people about what you are doing is that when you hold on to PVC, which is the card that people need to be able to go and freely, you know,
cast their
vote, and they don't have it. Okay. Now, talking about what indication is that, okay, if Jega was an independent man, the perception of other political parties thinking that, okay, there might be something under the ground will not be there. You see? But being appointed by the president, there's no way that anyone can say, oh, you know, it's okay. So some may suspect, oh, there's a game going on here.
But the chairman of INEC, even though appointed by the president, still undergoes a screening by the Senate. I mean, the Senate could have said, no, we don't want him. So doesn't that give him some semblance of independence?
Ooh, well, that's some semblance, but okay, the domination of the Senate. What party dominates the Senate? And we know how that goes, okay? When it comes to trying to scrutinize an appointee, you know. Now, if I'm a member of PDP and I'm a senator, I'm not likely to go against my president and say, well, you know, I'm just going to push him off. I will not do that, and it's part of the game, you know. So the fact that the Senate passed him doesn't mean that he's that independent.
All right, Mr. Lujari, we'll come back to you here. We'll take a moment and hook up with our correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, who will be bringing us up to speed on what is going on in Abuja. Hello, Gloria.
It has been very calm, especially with the political parties concentrating their campaigns in the southern part of the country. But the publicity secretary of the PDP, Mr. Olisa Metu, has kept the secretariat of the party very busy. He spoke to reporters, cautioning his party men over what he called a threat to the success of the campaigns. Well, Olisa again appealed to party leaders not to rubbish the image of the party in expressing their grievances over certain issues. According to him, party supporters should desist from the use of offensive languages as they canvass support for President Goodluck Jonathan's re-election. Well, Mr. Metu also told journalists that although the party appreciates the zeal demonstrated by these supporters, it would like all to stick to the party's ethics during the campaigns. Well, now, according to him, the party's presidential candidate already has the acceptance of many Nigerians, and there's no need to get involved in publicity that involves attacking personalities. Well, away from the PDP, the special advisor to President Goodluck Jonathan on the amnesty program, Mr. Kingsley Kuku, has challenged northern leaders to take ownership of the Boko Haram crisis, and end it as it is attracting attention here in the FCT. Well, according to him, again, military operations without the full support of the communities and their leaders cannot end the terrorism crisis, which has almost crippled economic activities in that region. Now, Mr. Kuku also said Nigerians should apply the lessons learned from the solutions that brought the Niger Delta militancy to an end in solving the Boko Haram problem. Now, just as campaigns are being wrapped up here and across the Federation, just in neighboring Nasarawa, about 500 members of the PDP have decamped to the APC. Well, that's not too cheering news, I'm afraid, but that's it here. From here, back to you, Nyota.
Thank you, Gloria. Well, coming from our studios in Abuja, where we have Gloria standing by, we'll take a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll continue our conversation about the EU recommendations for Nigeria's elections. Please join us again.